for procurement and sustainability here at Powerweave. And I'll be your host and moderator. We're leading today's conversation towards meaningful insights and then hopefully some practical takeaways for everybody who's joined the call. Today, we're diving into a topic that's rapidly becoming critical for our industry and for the procurement as a business function: the urgent need to embrace AI-powered digitization and sourcing. Procurement and sourcing has always been about cost, speed, and reliability. But in today's auto supply chain, the game is shifting. OEMs are raising the bar on traceability, compliance, things like sustainability and trust. At the same time, AI has moved from being just a buzzword to having real practical enablers, giving us ways to respond faster, build digital trails, and then stay globally competitive. So over the next 90 minutes, we'll unpack this together. First, we'll hear from Prateek Thakur. He's the Chief Operating Officer at Powerweave, and he'll set the stage with a presentation on why now is the right moment for AI-powered sourcing. Following that, I'll be joined by an exceptional panel, Mr. Jitendra Dixit, CEO of ASAL Tata Autocom Systems, Mrs. Jolyn Solomon, Supply Chain Principal for the Eastern Europe Division at Korn Consult Group, and Mr. Mukul Sinha, Head of Analytics and AI at Uno Minda. And together they'll be offering insights drawn from India's component manufacturing sector, global supply chain leadership, and advances in AI and analytics.
So good afternoon, everyone. And on behalf of the ACMA Center of Excellence, Saksham and the Automotive Mission Plan Forum, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all today. And today's theme is that AI-powered digitalization can't wait. And as Trishna already said that the OEMs are already talking about traceability and reliability and compliance. And I think today's program is very much tailored for the auto component system and how it can enable the auto component procurement system, and cycles can be improved by 40 to 60%. We can achieve also the mini cost reduction. And finally, how we can improve the risk of the visibility. And I think today there are many great leaders are there, so I'm not going to introduce them. But I think I'm very happy that there are people from Tata Autocom and other companies and Uno Minda are joining. So it gives me a great pleasure because we know these companies. And finally, I think my only appeal to the people is that this is a different kind of a webinar. And I appeal that please ask maximum questions so that you can take away many things. And their products are also very good. And I think you should have now moving from Excel to now we talk about softwares. And Krishna just now said that now the time has come to move to the AI. So with this, I will say that let us make this webinar more engaging and insightful, and let us collectively work for the competitiveness and collaboration to make this auto industry a better industry in India. So thank you very much. Now, Trishna, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dinesh sir, for your words.
Yeah.
There is small the guideline for the participants, because during the webinar they may have some question or query. So there is 2-3 modem through which you can interact with the faculty, or you can put your queries or question. So there is a chat window there you can put your questions, so that can be taken during the session or may be in the last of the session. There will be a 5-10 minute Q&A session will be there. And also there is possibility if you want to speak to the faculty or the speaker, so there is a raise hand logo will be there, so you can click over there, so we can allow you to unmute there and you can speak to the panelist or the speaker. So with this, thank you very much, Trishna ji or to Prateek ji. So please go ahead, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for the great introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Prateek. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, currently playing a bit of a dual role, also as the CTO of Powerweave, and we are really pleased to host this with ACMA today. I'll give you a couple of minutes of quick background on Powerweave. Powerweave is a platform company which is focused on B2B e-commerce, and in the last 8 to 10 years, a very high degree of focus on procurement and AI-led procurement, specifically on the indirect side. and now also going to core procurement as we move ahead. Around 2,000 people based out of Bombay and offices in the US, UK, and APAC, and of course Dubai and GCC as well, where Krishna heads it. Won't waste too much of your time, and we'll get to the presentation which is planned for today. I'm going to share my screen, so please let me know once you can see it.
We can see it now.
Great. So I won't be reading the screens. I'm sure all of you can see what's there. We are focused on, as we started off saying, why the auto industry, in fact, any industry today, can't afford to delay AI-powered sourcing digitization. And we're going to talk about practical maps on building speed, trust, resilience, and sustainability. Today's session is going to be data-driven and practical. It's not focused on jargon. We're going to talk about real-life cases where we have actually worked with many of our customers to help them solve the problems using AI that they're facing. And as mentioned earlier, please feel free to raise your hand whenever you have any questions or want to give any inputs. Here's a quick look at the agenda for today. We're going to talk about why today is the right time to focus on AI-powered sourcing. We'll then take a look at what's at stake for the industry as such and explore the core advantages of AI-powered sourcing, and then actually walk through a few practical use cases. We'll also have then a panel discussion with industry leaders, as Trishna mentioned, and we'll close with practical next steps that you can actually take up immediately. So let's go to the first part, right? Why is digitization no longer optional? Why is AI no longer optional? And why specifically so for the auto industry? In everything that we are doing today, speed is of the essence. In our experience, we have seen that AI has helped our customers actually reduce the time by 2/3. And in many, many cases, it has gone as far as 70 to 75% reduction in overall time. Email and Excel just cannot compete with this. Today, people are using AI to write emails. People are using AI to manage tasks. People are using AI to manage their marketing campaigns. People are using AI all across. And in the tech industry, actually, people are using AI to even write code. Things which required 10, 20 people to write code are now being done with lean teams of 1 or 2 people. Things which took 4 to 5 weeks are now actually taking 4 to 5 days, and in many cases, 4 to 5 hours. Half of the supply chains have invested in AI and analytics last year, not even this year. All the leaders actually run faster and cheaper. It's the small, medium companies, the ones who are struggling to adapt to this and to adopt AI, who are facing an uphill task to match with them. Indeed, compliance pressure is rising. With BRSR core, auto suppliers are now into year-round audit-ready reporting, which is just not possible if you're not using the power of AI or the power of digitization to assist you in this. Supply chains, thanks to geopolitical reasons, thanks to any weather-related reasons, so many things that are happening today across the supply chain, semiconductor shortages, logistics issues, chip issues, but OEMs expect suppliers to react fast. AI-driven visibility, agility are no longer good to haves, they are must-haves. This is not anymore about a tech upgrade. That's what many companies feel. We need to upgrade our tech. We need to think about how to get ahead. It's now table stakes. Today, AI is about just staying in the race. There's a bit of a lag in between when I change my screens. So please forgive me for that. So why is it so important for the auto industry, and how does it help? How does AI, practical AI, actually help the auto industry? And we have listed three things here, which you can see. Four things, sorry. OEM trust shortlisting, speed and responsiveness, global competitiveness, and risk and compliance. If I was to prioritize these, if I was to look at what's the biggest thing that impacts, it's speed and responsiveness. McKinsey documents actually tender evaluation time is now down by 2/3, which I mentioned above. And faster responses mean more wins and higher buyer confidence. I'll give you an example. We used to work with a company who was actually a vendor for automobile manufacturers such as Mercedes and Rolls-Royce, and used to handle all their sales offices. So they were actually in charge of having all the inventory for whatever the sales offices would need, whether it is promotional items such as keychains, whether it is print material, whether it is brochures, everything that a typical sales showroom would require. And earlier, there was just no way for them to forecast what would be required when, other than a human looking at what happened the last year, looking at what all events are going on, and then going into each and every element and looking to see what they need to procure when, because they have to keep stock on demand. They cannot print on demand. What we did was for them build a simple predictive analytics tool that looked at the data of the last 4 to 5 years and said what would be happening in the coming months based on past trends, based on current industry events, and based on what the calendar is looking for now in terms of what's happening in the industry. And we were able to give them a forecast which actually predicted close to a 90-95% accurate number on everything they needed to stock. This is how practical AI actually helps. This is how predictive analytics actually helps. If I look at the second biggest thing, I would look at risk and compliance. Today, you basically need to have always on monitoring. One of the leading OEM actually reports that 75 production halts were averted in 2025 after digitizing supplier mapping and AI-driven alerts. Now, this may sound complicated, but like I gave in the previous example, it's all about data. It's all about analyzing what you have and where the impacts can come in. Global competitiveness and OEM trust. Now, these are pretty much given. Adapt faster, source smarter. You've heard this many, many times. But how does this actually work? How do you find new suppliers? How do you monitor suppliers? AI tools can actually cut supplier discovery time, and I'm not exaggerating, by almost 90%, helping teams reconfigure your supplier basis for cost, resilience, and growth. If I look at OEM trust and shortlisting, it's very simple. Evidence always beats claims. Words are very, very easy, but there's no such thing as data and evidence to prove what is right. 65% of procurement leaders lack visibility past tier 1. So digital trails for delivery, quality, and responsiveness, which used to be very, very tough to monitor, can now become decisive using past data, using analytics, and using AI. I'll pause briefly here because we're going to move on to practical case studies where we have actually helped different customers achieve some of what I've been saying. If anyone has any questions, I'll just give a quick pause right now. Okay. I've spoken about this, so I'm not going to go over these slides again. Apologies, my laptop is stuck. Give me a second. Here we are. So if we talk about the first that I spoke about, right? What's the biggest factor? The biggest factor, speed and responsiveness. The use case we are talking about is actually a multi-plant automotive component supplier working across several OEMs. And their RFQ process was email driven, and then from email to Excel across a large supplier base, not only large, but diverse, from a small supplier to a large supplier, from suppliers giving multiple small value items to suppliers giving very few but high value items. And this typically caused version sprawl, late quotes that showed comparisons and stretched the timelines between actually getting an RFQ and then awarding the RFQ to the right supplier. The solution that we came up with was actually a sourcing portal. Now, AI obviously was not the only thing driving the sourcing portal, but it was a big component. The first thing was to have a mechanism to digitize all the RFQs and capture all of them in a single workspace. Once this was done, the data that came in was auto-passed. It enabled structured negotiations and also sent auto responses for auto reminders for places where missing responses were there. Humans who are doing this and tracking whether an RFQ has got a response, someone has actually received an RFQ, have they submitted it in the correct manner, were eliminated to high value tasks. They no longer did require to do any of these admin activities, and they were instead focused on ensuring that they had the right supplier base, they had the right responses to the RFQs, and they had the data to look at to see which supplier was the best in terms of quality, in terms of history, in terms of delivery. And here's where the kicker comes in: sentiment analysis on that supplier based on what the noise was in the cyberspace. These may seem like highly complicated things to do, but with the age of AI and the advent of AI, these have now become possible and they have become real and practical. Why does this matter? Because faster RFQ cycles build OEM confidence. With light AI tools and practical AI tools, you can move decisions from weeks to days, in many cases from days to hours, where the need is urgent. And you can compete on responsiveness, speed, and not just on price. Because price is not often the only factor in deciding the correct vendor or the correct supplier for your needs. I spoke about transparency, I spoke about trust, and how is this actually done in a practical scenario? I'll talk about a use case again. And this particular company, they're an automotive interior supplier, 20 plus vendors, and managing schedules and forecasts by spreadsheet and email. As you can imagine, because it is spreadsheet and email, updates were not real time. If updates are not real time, it leads to shortages or overages, which in turn leads to missed deliveries. And if there are missed deliveries, what you're doing, you're paying premium on your freight and logistics to get the items in time. What did we do? We used the existing ERP/accounting system, and we built a cloud supplier portal, which was integrated with the ERP system. Live forecasts and schedules were enabled such that supplier self-service, which was the holy grail for this particular vendor, was achieved. Exceptions and alert notifications got issued real time. Self-service for orders and ASNs, which was a dream for them, actually became a reality. And this particular one was implemented in less than 6 months, which actually for them was a miracle because they've been working like this for more than 10 years now. And it's been a game changer for them because now they're focused on actually selling rather than managing all of this. Why does this matter? Real-time scheduled data-backed scorecards, which in turn signal discipline and reliability. It's a lightweight portal and an alerting layer if you break it down to its core. And it's now allowing their vendors to prove performance and move up the shortlist, actually building healthy competition between these 20 plus vendors as well. And you can see the result, right? 90% reduction in missed deliveries, 25% lower inventory levels, and 75% increase in inventory turns. These numbers are for them unprecedented because as a result of the 90% reduction in missed deliveries, their freight costs and logistic costs have gone down by almost 70%. They don't have to do urgent deliveries anymore. Everything is planned and scheduled. I'll move on to the third thing that I spoke about, risk awareness, compliance, basically being audit ready at any given time. This particular use case is actually not localized, multi-continent. They're an auto components maker operating with 12,000 plus suppliers, give or take, and across several ERP instances. There's SAP, there's Oracle, there's some vendors who are using QuickBooks, there's some vendors using Tally for those who are operating out of India. The PO coverage was approximately 30%. 25% of the spend was visible centrally, which meant that 75% was only visible in the local pockets. Contracts sat in local folders on the network. PR and PO processes varied from site to site. Audits, manual process, relying on human intervention for interpretation, no standardization, digitization very, very limited. Increasing the risk of the audit by exponentially. Let's say exponentially, you can't actually put a number to that. What was the solution? Oftentimes, the solution is simpler than it seems because people underestimate the use of practical tools and practical AI capabilities to build a solution that will meet their needs. So we built a workspace. Now this workspace was based on a single supplier master, which was standardized. There were now PR, PO, RFQ contract workflows, which were common to everyone. This was not easy, working across all their continents and getting people to agree to a certain format. But this was the groundwork, because without this, a system means very little. As a result, we were able to centralize all the agreements and they were integrated broadly with ERPs. Now, because there were multiple ERPs involved, we actually used a system where you could communicate via API to these ERPs as per their requirements for data transfer. This enabled real-time compliance visibility and consistent qualification. We also built in a section where required certificates for all the suppliers could be uploaded, and there would be a tracking mechanism for those where certificates were expiring because the certificate start date and end dates were captured, and they would be required to upload their updated certifications again to be part of the whole process. Again, this was something which was done manually earlier, now just being tracked to the system and allowing the people to simply track all the suppliers who are complying, who are risk aware, and who are audit ready. As a result of this, because of the consolidation, there was actually a reduction in the supplier base. And instead of the 12,000 plus suppliers, they were able to reduce actually to just over 5,000. So it's a little more than 50% in this case. But yeah, more than a 50% supplier base reduction simply because of consolidation and standardization and ensuring that they only worked with compliant suppliers. 98% of the spend from 25% was now analyzable. And PO coverage, which was in the range of 30 to 32%, actually went up to 99%. Now, this lightweight centralized compliance layer let these lean teams stay audit ready year round instead of having 2 to 3 people managing all the countries and all the vendors. They were able to get a centralized of these auto alerts and a single source of truth. Extremely critical. Audits became faster, and OEMs were reassured that the risk is being managed systematically, not through words, but through actual data and through reports. As we move ahead, I spoke about end-to-end ESG and carbon intelligence because sustainability today is a big factor, and it's pretty much becoming mandatory in the next year or two. It's going to impact everything that we are doing. This is about a fast-growing EV OEM in India based out of Bangalore, and they faced investor, regulator, OEM partner pressure to show credible ESG performance. Now, it's one thing to actually be doing this. It's a second thing to actually document it. And it's the third thing to actually have it on a platform where it can be viewed by all stakeholders and then verified against actual data and reports. When we started off with them, scope 1 and 2, it was partially measured. Scope 3 data across suppliers was completely missing. All their systems were siloed, and the teams actually had the capability, but they lacked the capacity for multi-framework reporting, whether it was BRSR, GRI, CDP. They just didn't have the bandwidth to do this, and it would mean that they would have put in a team of 15 to 20 people just to manage this on an ongoing basis. So what did we do? Through our partner company Snowcap, who has an ESG platform and ESG SMEs, we actually built a complete program, which was AI assisted. This combined materiality assessment, carbon baselining, supplier onboarding with primary data as well as proxy data. Wherever primary or proxy data was not available, we in fact worked with their vendors to help them identify this data and give them a framework to actually provide us this data. So this went beyond just providing a platform to providing the actual service to make it real. BRSR gap mapping and training. All of this which was delivered on a single platform, which is Snowcap, powered by AI, with auto passing, pre-built templates to capture all the information, and dashboards. All dashboards were powered by AI and with practical analytics and giving them actionable insights on how the supplier can actually come to the level that is required to become an eligible vendor for them. Why does this matter? Well, you all may know that OEMs are increasingly scoring suppliers on ESG. ESG, which used to be now previously put in the background, now becomes a very critical factor in identifying the correct vendor. So a lightweight ESG layer, supplier data capture, scope 3 estimates when needed, templated reporting, helped them actually prove compliance, win shortlists, and align with customer mandates, and going forward, align with their investor mandates. This is an invested company. So within 4 to 5 months, the manual effort, as I said, 15 to 20 people would have been needed, which they simply didn't have. It was reduced by almost 90%. Two plants and core vendors, scope 1 to 3 baselines were completed. All of this within one quarter. A 3-year roadmap from reporting to execution was available and with identified project timelines and what needed to be done. If I'm going too fast or if anyone wants to ask any questions, I'll take a quick pause now before I move ahead.
There are some questions, PT, on the chat, but I think the team's answered them. So I think you can continue.
Great, thanks. Because I'm sharing the screen, I can't see them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you.
No problem.
The question that always comes, right? I've heard all of this. You're one more company who's talking about this, and there are so many companies doing this. How do I start? What is practical? Where do I invest? Where should I begin? So we, having been in this industry for so long and now having been at the forefront of procurement and now at the forefront of AI in procurement for the last X years, we always believe in beginning small and moving fast, because you need to prove the first value in weeks, not months, forget years. Unless you have something as a working model where you can say that, here, I've taken this and I've proven that it works, like a POC, right? Everyone loves POCs. So digitize one workflow first. Say, let's take RFQ tracking or quote comparison. Bring it off email, bring it off Excel, bring it onto a shared tool. Better collaboration, fewer errors, shorter cycles. That's an example. Use AI-lite assistants. Now, what's an AI-lite assistant? Something which will tell you how to score a quote on the basis of an algorithm which is decided, which is planned, and which understands how to score. You can start off with that. You can talk about expiry risk alerts. These sit on top of existing processes or on top of existing ERPs. No overhauls are needed. Let's say you build data collection discipline. Data collection discipline is easier said than done, which is why it comes third in the list and often requires top-down forcing, getting people aligned, a lot of training, a lot of adoption, but it is the one which will bring the biggest impact across everything that you're doing. And here's the thing, you don't need an ERP to kick any of this off. Evidence actually builds trust and therefore accelerates awards. Pick a few metrics which matter the most. Let's say on-time delivery, RFQ response time, first pass yield, and publish one scorecard. Share them with customers. That's another quick start that you can think of. And I'm going to talk about now how our platform actually shows and actually works on some of this, and talk about digitizing and AI in action. The first thing that we're talking about here is e-tendering and e-auctions, and we're shifting from just basic slides to actually how it works. We talked about speed, we talked about trust, we talked about resilience. You'll see now how it actually works in the workflow. Do we cut steps? Do we create an audit trail? And do we surface the next best action without changing your core tools? These are the things that you have to look at. What does e-tendering and e-auctions, the module from our platform, actually achieve? This is an actual screenshot from our platform, which is called eVis Procure. And for all of those who are interested, we'll be happy to do separate sessions on the capabilities of the platform. The e-tendering module, which this shows a screenshot of, is actually where the entire sourcing cycle lives in one place. It's a centralized sourcing one place workspace, as you can see, which allows for real-time bid tracking, zero email dependency. There is no email workflow which is required. Everything happens within the platform, including communications which have a log and which can be referred back to. There's an auto audit trail, which allows you to, as I said, go through the logs and ensure whatever elements that you need to. And there is actually a scoring engine. The scoring engine is AI powered, and you can see some of it right here. It gives you the basic comparisons, and then on the basis of that actually generates a score, technical comparison, commercial comparison, the other elements that I spoke about, reliability, speed, compliance, and it gives you a score of which would be the best supplier for this particular product or commodity that you're procuring. Faster data-driven decisions without the manual comparison grind. That's what it offers. And you have the ability to actually host multiple auctions at the same time across multiple vendors, across multiple geographies. Our platform can actually be set up in 3 to 4 weeks on top of your existing systems. It requires you to change practically nothing. We manage all the integrations. What's the result? Full transparency, quicker evaluations, and a process OEMs can instantly trust. Incidentally, this is something we have actually put in for a company which is not in the auto industry, but is in the FMCG industry and deployed across 54 countries, which they're using for their e-tendering and e-auctions across 9,000 vendors of different categories in POSM, print, etc. And we assisted them through the implementation, adoption, training for them, for their internal users and their vendors as well, to be able to use it efficiently. It is integrated with Coupa in their case, and where their vendors have not worked with Coupa, we actually provided them training to work with the systems as well. Coming to the second one, which is supplier listing and certification management. Think of this as your live supplier dashboard, right? All your vendors, all the certifications, their expiry dates, their statuses, all in one view. Everything available at the click of a button. You hover on one, you'll get a snapshot like you see here. What's the certificate type? What's the issue date? What's the expiry date? What's the legal name of the entity? What their scope is, and this can be customized to actually meet your needs. Whether the supplier is approved, whether the supplier is pending approval, or needs to provide more information in order to become even valid as a supplier to you. As I mentioned earlier, live alerts, these alerts are automated. Once the certificate is put in, we actually have an AI system which looks at the certificate, and you don't have to enter what it contains. It will actually tell you what that certificate is for. It will tell you that whether they're uploading the right certificate, whether they're trying to cheat and upload a POS certificate instead of their ISO certificate, whether it meets the requirements, the minimum certification requirements that have been put in. Like it's written here, it provides summaries of all of these certificates for you to quickly review, for your audit team to quickly review. Ensuring compliance, pretty much ensuring instant vendor verification rather than to wait for a cycle where it requires humans to actually go through each certificate, each line, and check whether it is right or wrong. How does this work? No missed audits, no last minute panic, and clear digital proof of compliance. Here's where the money comes in, right? In the end, when anything is implemented, whether you're going to use AI, not use AI, whether you're going to implement a platform, are there going to be savings? Is there some way I can actually track my savings? Can I track my spend analysis, what it used to be prior and what it is now? And has there been any impact? So the first thing, right, you need to set a baseline. If you don't know where you are today and you don't have spend analysis which is accurate across everything you're doing, knowing whether you're actually saving anything in any of these elements is practically impossible. Yes, you may have a bottom line impact, but you will not be able to link it back to anything unless you have detailed spend analysis. That's where this module comes in. It's a game changer because it analyzes spend patterns across categories, across departments, across time periods, and has the ability to actually forecast where savings can be achieved. On the basis of that, provide predictive analysis. Using historical data to identify high impact opportunities, for example, it will actually tell you that because of ABC, here's a contract that you can actually negotiate. Looking at your spend across vendors X, Y, Z for categories A, B, C, there's an opportunity to consolidate spend, maybe on the basis of geography, proximity, it may be on the basis of delivery time, etc. It will use historical data to give you the high impact opportunities and list them out for you. In cases where there is operations across various plants, it will give you these insights at a plant level also. The result is a clear savings forecast that can then be measured against to plan smarter, act proactively, not be reactive, and match cost savings to the predicted cost savings. You can see in this screenshot, this particular case where cost savings opportunity 7.1% in the next quarter. What are the risks? Which are the suppliers with the risks? Where the total cost savings and which category? I'm sorry, I lost video for a second. All able to see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Going on to the next one, let's talk about contract management. Now, we know that contract management actually exists as a module in many systems, whether it's SAP, Ariba, Coupa, typical ERP systems which allow contract management. What we have done is try to simplify contract management to a level where the key basics of what is required are achieved without actually having to go through the complexity of understanding an ERP system. What do you need? A unified repository, milestone tracking alerts, creation of contracts on the basis of preset templates, and a visibility which is compliance first. Our AI actually doesn't just store contracts, it reads them for you and provides you the key highlights. Because so many of you know, right? Out of the 78 pages of a contract, the core is maybe just 2 to 3 pages. The rest is just terms and conditions, which gets repeated all across. So it gives you the core, it will give you the highlights and provide you a summary of the same. You can track milestones, you can spot anomalies, you can create new contracts within smart templates within minutes. You can even use the templates to create something that is a new category of contract simply on the basis of what has been stored prior, saving maybe 80 to 90% of your time. This is our procurement bot. That's actually, if you look at it, a complete AI chatbot, which is customized for procurement. And this itself could be a full session because there's so much it can do, and it understands natural language, allows multiple levels of conversations, understands what the audience is. So you can actually make procurement requests, you can have real-time sourcing triggers, you can set auto approvals, It's basically an auto-on assistant, sorry, always-on assistant to answer queries which may otherwise require humans. And it allows for, I wouldn't say frictionless. Frictionless is a marketing term, but very low friction task execution. Procurement bot is an all-encompassing term that can be bots for specific elements, specific areas of workflow, which can be created and plugged into your existing systems. All of them can work independently. All of them can work as a whole. All of them can work with some of the modules you have said prior, or all of them can take little elements of all the modules and work separately. I'm cognizant of the time I'm taking, so I'll move on quickly. What's next, right? And like we said, right, practical, low cost, no cost next steps. Ask us for a free discovery call. We'll look at what you do. We'll map your sourcing workflows. We'll identify, first of all, whether digitization or AI is relevant to you. If it is relevant to you, where can it deliver quick wins? If it can deliver quick wins, where can it deliver quick wins within the weeks we spoke about and not the months, and create a path for you to move ahead. Data cleaning for dashboards. We'll help you structure supplier data, sourcing data, so it's ready for reporting, scorecards, OEM audits, wherever the need may be. Addition to this, digitizing, standardization, such that we can get the nomenclature, we can get the data standardized across your vendors, across their components and products and services, of course. And we can conduct a workshop for AI in sourcing, which will be a hands-on session for your team to explore use cases. We have spoken about 4 or 5 use cases. There are tons more which could be relevant to all of you. So to explore use cases, benchmarks, and practical adoption pathways for all of you. AI in many companies, in many industries, has become jargonified to the extent that people don't know what to use it for. Beyond composing an email, beyond drafting a response, beyond looking at ChatGPT, beyond looking at OpenAI or whatever tool that you're using. But that's not what it is. It is something that can actually play a role in everything that you're doing, not only at your own level, but at a company level. In closing, I spoke about this. We've actually partnered with just under 1,000 organizations worldwide, and we have a 95% retention rate, 25 years of experience dealing with maybe 5 to 6 people companies and multi-billion-dollar organizations as well. And we provide practical solutions. We provide practical platforms backed by AI, and our strength is in procurement and B2B e-commerce. With our sister company Snowcap, now a very powerful ESG and sustainability offering as well. All of this is basically tailored towards driving measurable business growth. I spoke about EVIS Procure. Some of the things that you saw there were about EVIS Procure. Not going to really take too much time on it, but EVIS Procure is our procurement platform with AI-powered tools for sourcing automation, embedded service for onboarding, built-in ESG governance, all of this without replacing your current systems. And if you're ready to modernize your procurement and bring AI into your workflow, speak to us. We are available and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you again for all of your time, and I'll hand it over back to Trishna. Just wanted to say that today, the auto industry is really at an inflection point. It's not just saying it for the sake of saying, and AI-powered sourcing isn't optional anymore. It's the difference between keeping pace and falling behind. Thank you, and I really look forward to the panel discussion, where we'll hear from many industry leaders and consultants on how they're approaching this transformation. Handing it over back to you, Trishna.
Thanks,
All
Pratik.
yours. Thank you.
Thank you. You're still sharing. Perfect. All right. Thanks. I think that was really insightful. I'm keeping a time check, so I want to go straight into our panel discussion. If I could just ask our panelists to please put their camera on now so that everybody can get reference. I'm going to kick off with some introductions. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Mr. Jitendra Dixit, CEO of Automotive Stampings and Assemblies Limited, part of Tata Autocom Systems, with over 37 years of experience across Tier 1 and OEM ecosystems. He has been instrumental in steering ASAL's strategic growth and strengthening its position as a trusted partner to global OEMs. Sorry, guys. Under his leadership as well, they've seen an expanded capabilities, improved operational excellence, and deepened their customer confidence. So he brings the vital OEM buyer's perspective on what truly drives supplier selection, but also, I think, long-term collaboration. We've also been joined by Mrs. Jolyn Solomon, Supply Chain Principal for the Eastern Europe Division at Korn Consult Group, with over 2 decades of experience spanning General Motors, Honeywell, and Flex. Jolyn specializes in strategic sourcing, supply chain resilience, and crisis management. So she brings truly an international perspective on how European suppliers are leveraging digitization and agility to stay competitive in this rapidly evolving automotive landscape. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mukul Sinha, Head of Analytics and AI at Uno Minda. Mukul is a data and AI transformation leader with over 20 years of experience driving enterprise-wide analytics and digital initiatives across manufacturing, media, and automotive. At Uno Minda, he's leading the charge to embed AI and predictive analytics into decision-making, from real-time supplier visibility to smarter operational forecasting. He brings the unique perspective of how data and AI are not just enabling efficiency, but also redefining competitiveness across automotive ecosystems. So very directly in relation to a lot of what Pratik kind of went through as well. So with that, guys, I want to dive straight into the questions. Jitendra, if I'd like to start with you. Your portfolio spans interiors, exteriors, powertrains, and now EV systems. From your perspective, if we could understand what you feel are the top 3 disruptions reshaping the industry and your business today.
So, thank you. Thank you for this discussion. So, going to your question, I think there are things which are becoming very, very key focused in the business environment, which are like technology transformation, and then geopolitical risk and supply chain, management, which is very, very critical in the current scenario where tariffs are becoming sort of uncertain, and there are a lot of disruptions in the supply chain area. So this is very, very important area again. And then, of course, compliance is one of the biggest challenge. As we deal the uncertainties, the compliance becomes very, very challenging, and it is again a very critical area to be focused. And of course, sustainability with compliance, both the things are very, very important. And also, I think in the organizations like ours, we have to focus on sustainability for the OEMs, where OEMs are going beyond our normal asking in the business. So I think we have to be very, very strong on those points which I mentioned.
Right. Taking from that, Mukul, Uno Minda has grown rapidly in electronics, sensors, and software-driven products. So how is this shift?
Sorry,
Sorry.
sorry.
I was getting to how is this shift changing your own operating model and the capabilities you're building inside the company?
So Uno Minda has been a leading global automotive system and a technology company. We are partnering with the world top OEM to design intelligent, sustainable, and highly quality mobility solution. Rooted with strong values and driven by innovation, we are transforming into a component manufacturing technology leader. Now, when I talk about the rapid growing in the electronic sensor and the software driven product, right? The shift towards electronic sensor and software is definitely redefining Uno Minda from a component manufacturing organization to a technology led mobility partner. We are rebuilding our data models around data, agility, and collaboration. Now, if I talk about AI, AI certainly sits at the middle, and AI and analytics is at the middle of the design, sourcing, manufacturing, sourcing. It's not the tool, but as a decision enabler for our stakeholders. As an organization, we are investing in digital twins. We are investing in predictive analytics. Since we are a manufacturing organization, connected systems to enhance quality, speed, traceability are certainly things that we are working on. Now, guiding with the core values and principle of where customer is supreme, we live the quality, which means we're embedding precision through data and encouraging creativity to drive innovation. I think that is the transformation journey and how we are looking at it.
And I think you said decision enabler. I just jotted that down quickly, and that's the really important perspective to add from an AI point of view as well, right? Not as a replacer, but definitely as an enabler
Enabler,
in the
right?
day-to-day. Exactly.
Yes.
Jolin, first of all, glad you could join. I know there were a little technical issues, but glad you're with us now. You've led multiple supply chains and sourcing transformations across Europe, from OEMs to tiered suppliers, often stepping in times of disruptions, restructuring, challenges, I'm sure. From your vantage point, what are the biggest shifts you're seeing in how automotive supply chains are being managed today? And how are suppliers in your region adapting to these pressures, from digital readiness to risk resilience?
First of all, welcome everyone. Yes, I'm sitting in Middle East Europe, in Budapest, capital city of Hungary. We are very proud because we say that Hungary is in a very good position in the digitalization. Yes, on one side, this is completely true. Not only in automotive and in automotive supply chain, but also in all segments, including governmental applications. So this is completely right. One example that we are different than your region is starting with my connection. We don't use WebEx. We used in the past, and I also used it. But Europe is working differently. We are preferring Microsoft solutions like Microsoft Teams. But supply chain is also different. What I heard, we are having a very flat economic situation, meaning that since round about 1.5 years in Europe, especially in Western Europe, we can say that there are no supply chain issues related deliveries, related sustainability, related transparency, but they are having some insolvency issues, unfortunately. In the Middle and Eastern Europe, the suppliers are having enough capacity from production side and from digitalization. Unfortunately, due to this very flat and I would say very bad business situation, this digitalization topic is put on hold. This is very sad, and this is very bad and this is not only my opinion, but we started a very big digitalization trend, I would say, in Europe. Eastern Europe is better, much more digitalized than Western Europe. But due to these other priorities, let's say, made by decision makers, this topic is not on the first and second and third priority. Let me tell you one example, which is very typical. The most commonly used ERP system is SAP, especially for the automotive production facilities. And we all know that S/4HANA is not the future, but almost the past, meaning that we should have been implemented already. This is fairly not so common that even the tier 1 suppliers have already implemented S/4HANA. They still use the older versions, or implementation means that they make the IT installation, but the functional implementation is missing. Meaning, at the end, this is not implemented, and this is one digitalized big project. What we say that yes, we are highly digitalized. Related softwares in procurement. There is no really common digitalized solution existing, because mainly the big OEMs and tier 1, tier 2 suppliers use their own platform, meaning that they are having a kind of supplier portal, what is developed by local ITs. These are not really fancy solutions, meaning that AI is not there. What is the digitalized solution? You must upload your quotation and they download, but there is no automatization. So meaning that evaluation for a quotation, these programs are not really proper. Even if there is a smaller solution on this, we can say that, oh, this is the top of the digitalization. So to cut it short, we have a lot of tasks in case of digitalization, especially related AI. Thank you very much.
Taking the point that you said around OEMs and their, a lot of tier 1 suppliers work with the infrastructure, technology infrastructure that the OEMs generally put in place. So Mukul, Jitendra, I want to kind of point this more towards you guys, maybe more from a positive light perspective in terms of, look, things are changing rapidly. We've spoken about tariffs, new regulations, new advancements. OEMs are pushing harder than ever for speed, traceability, things like sustainability. Can you both share an example where an OEM requirement has forced you, or maybe the industry from an Indian landscape, for the component manufacturers to rethink how you guys are operating?
So, right now, OEM's expectation, I mean, today goes beyond the norms of price and delivery, right? They are looking at transparency, they are looking at sustainability and intelligence across the entire end-to-end value chain, right? A very recent example that happened in one of our plants is we had to work on the entire traceability and carbon accounting requirement for one of the global OEMs, right? We pushed our limits to digitize the entire sourcing, the supplier quality workflow. We built AI-enabled systems to monitor supplier performance, predict compliance risk, and understand and identify and simulate the carbon footprinting impact. So, I mean, if I talk about it, it's not just only compliance that forced us to rethink how digital trust is working. It's one of the values that we have at Uno Minda, which is respect for the workplace ethics, where we need to ensure that transparency isn't an optional parameter. It's a culture, and the OEMs, whoever are connected with us, understand what's happening at the end-to-end ecosystem. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what you said is very right. But at the same time, the tier one, tier two suppliers, what they face the biggest challenge is when the customers are, they want suppliers which are self-sustainable, and when they are auditing or they are setting up new processes, they expect that suppliers are aligned to give the data what they want. And like as you said in the warranty, and there are a lot of compliance things which need to be reported. So in the previous years we were doing this mostly in the manual way, but now as we are seeing a lot of tools are available, I think we saw a lot of things today's presentation also. So this is becoming very, very critical, and all the OEMs are expecting their suppliers should upgrade tier one, and then their own suppliers should become, catching up with the technologies which are available. So I just recently I heard that Maruti has set up a new plant in Sonipat, and all the suppliers, and this is applicable to all the OEMs like Tata's and others are also doing the same way. But Maruti new plant, they are asking like all the compliance on IoT. The machines has to like respond with the data. The processes has to be giving the data online rather than waiting for the data to be analyzed after some time. So this is sort of things are being when you're setting up your process, setting up your machines, those things are inculcated from the beginning. And I think this is where digitization and AI can definitely make a big change in the way we do the business. So I think time is short in my opinion, so but we can talk a lot, but I think you can
Yeah.
cover more. Yeah, you can cover more things.
I think just taking from that the readiness, and I think Mukul, you also touched upon it that there was a client-led requirement on traceability and maybe elements of scope 3 and ESG. And you guys had to obviously in a short period of time kind of work to make sure you're able to deliver what's required. And there's always a fine balance between, I think, proactiveness and company strategy to put yourself a little further ahead than the rest. So taking that, I just want to understand maybe from all three of you in a different landscape, as in the past 2 to 3 years, to get ready for this new landscape, this changing landscape. What are the things the organization has prioritized and kind of put their investment towards? Maybe one or two, if you guys could shine some light on. That has become a key priority from an organization point of view.
In Europe, the priority one is S/4HANA implementation.
From a digitization
This is a
perspective?
must.
Okay.
Yes, this is a must. A part of this, we are talking about AI usage in procurement many times, but I see that the biggest blocking point is that the decision makers who own the budget do not understand why we should use AI, and it will be the same for a while. So I think that in the coming years, it will be changed, but not from one month to the other. So I would say Europe is about S/4HANA updates.
Adding on as well, even we are looking at the process automation, which certainly, because S4, SAP is certainly the backbone for our organization as well. So we are deploying AI-based demand forecasting, inventory optimization. So the first thing we're looking at is basically a process optimization and process automation. But then the process automation sits on a data infrastructure. So within Uno Minda, we have created a unified data architecture so that every organization, every plant, they work out of one single source of truth. Now we have the data, we have the process. Now we need to make sure that our workers, our skilled employees, our talent they have a mindset of adopting AI. Because right now, the way that we look at the world, AI is no longer chat GPT. It has gone beyond the boundaries of normal agentic AI. So, me as a leader, I want to build the talent and the mindset where we understand AI and we understand analytics, and the team is equally focused on reskilling businesses and becoming data literate. That's the way I think it is.
Very nice.
Yeah. And the data piece, I think, stands out most, right? Because before the digitization journey starts, the data journey needs to begin and the mapping journey needs to begin. And I think that's where you effectively digitize, where we see what happens in a lot of times is the first two steps are overlooked or there's unawareness around it. So I think definitely resonate, I think, Mukul, with what you're saying. I think, Jitendra, just taking from that, maybe, and it could be digital initiatives or it couldn't be. I know the topic is AI and digitization, but please feel free to answer it as you like in terms of what are some of the practical initiatives that are already working inside your organization today that are helping you kind of stay competitive and stay relevant.
Yeah, I think we recently implemented. I think I will talk about IoT. Of course, there are a lot of things we are doing, but one of the thing which was important was like, tracking. We are into uh, different businesses, but in one of the business in our battery making, I think it is very important that we trace when the product is made, which process, and all these things relate to warranty. So we have implemented IoT, and we are able to track the trail. And uh, really speaking, a lot of manual things are eliminated. Efficiency is one of the things which we have integrated with IoT, where we are seeing, along with the traceability, we are seeing the what are the like which are the elements which are not coming up within our requirement of targets or efficiencies. So this becomes very easy for the person who is working in the process and the person who is managing the shop floor or managing the his function. So he is able to see the data faster. He is able to see the analytics, and then his response is very fast. He don't have to wait for long time.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it helps us in compliance as well. When we are collecting the data, we are collecting those data which are relating to compliance of customer, because there are certain reports they need with your all the dispatches, or after some time they ask for some data. So those kind of things are really good to have when you're digitizing, when you're applying. I will not say complete AI because AI is too big thing, but of course IoT and digitization is something which we are doing, and it's really helping us.
Great. So just to summarize what the three of you have said in terms of what the currently is happening, I think, Jolan, you said at the S/4HANA is at centrally what the focus is from a European point of view. Mukul, you spoke about, I guess, a little bit more maturity from an AI perspective. That's already something that you guys have kicked off with, which is great. And Jitendra, you spoke about the IoT. That covers right now. So if I might just do a little bit more forward thinking, if we're looking at, let's say, 3 to 5 years out, where do you all see the biggest opportunity for digital and AI to transform your operations?
In sourcing and procurement, I would say that AI could be a very good help in case of tendering, making a proper scope, what is currently not the case, and also in case of process developments related logistics and sourcing processes, like calculating the best routing for a delivery, for instance, or even making suggestions for the best suppliers, selecting the best suppliers, or making a kind of pre-evaluation about possible suppliers, like how sustainable, how reliable are they from financial point of view, for example. So I would say that these are the next steps and the biggest opportunities in procurement field. Thank you.
Lovely. Mukul, if I look at you for a second. Oh, you're on mute. I'll just give you a
Sorry,
minute.
yeah. Sorry, one
Yeah,
second. Okay.
that's it.
So technology, if I talk specifically about AI, the technology is changing at a very fast pace, right? Now, in the next 3 to 5 years, basically, if you ask me, we are looking at certainly smart factories where we have connected intelligence across the entire value chain. And we are looking at reducing our quality, reducing our, improving our safety, looking at a faster time to market, looking at more predictive analytics, and rather than receptive, we are looking at identifying errors and before they go to the market.
Yeah.
So if I talk about AI will basically shift the entire efficiency from resilience to foresight, which will help us respond faster, operate in a cleaner and a much better way, and design our new products in a much smarter and a much faster way. This is the vision that I see, that I believe would be the picture for in the next 3 to 5 years.
Great.
Yeah. So, going further, what the colleagues have said, this very right, and I feel what will matter most is your predictive analytics, and you are able to foresee before it happens. Like I think recently we have seen this tariff things. We were not aware what will happen. There were a lot of this has created a lot of uncertainty. And on the, I think last 2 years, we have been struggling on semiconductor side and all the businesses. So what is not known to us is more relevant, to work on.
Yeah.
So if AI can help us to know what is going to affect our business in near terms, like 2-3 years, I think we will be taking actions to prepare ourselves. And it is not only about procurement, of course. At the
Yeah.
business level, procurement is most important thing because supply chain is a big thing. Of course, predictive analysis with the help of AI can help. What kind of trends are there in the supply chain? What kind of challenges are there? And what kind of things are changing in the technology front? So all these things AI can help because in some way, I think depending on man is important. But at the same time, if we are able to know early, like what is our issue, what is going to put us in some risk, I think we can prevent it. That is more important. So predictive analysis, where AI should be able to help businesses. And I think we spoke about ESG, which is going to be very, very important. So AI can help there. Procurement, of course, is a big area where we can see a lot of fruits from AI in coming future. So these are the comments. I will add one more thing, which is on people's side, where we are talking about technology and AI, everything, but who will how the people will get affected? I think reskilling of those areas
Absolutely.
for the people can be one of the thing we should focus on. Thank you.
Absolutely. So guys, we've only got a few minutes. I just want to end maybe with more of you guys giving a little bit of an advice to everybody who's joined. The ACMA infrastructure is made of suppliers scaled in very different ways, small, medium, large scale suppliers. So, I mean, if we're thinking of the mid-tier suppliers in the ACMA ecosystem, and we're talking about it in the context of digitization, what would be the immediate advice? An immediate, snappy piece of advice for everyone listening.
You mean to say for the suppliers for tier 2, tier 3?
Yeah, for even tier 1 suppliers, even if they are more
Okay.
medium-sized, small-sized suppliers, what is the immediate kind of advice you'd give to them to think about from a digitization perspective, if you may, or just
Yeah.
generally even?
I think in my opinion, I think there are a lot of experts here, and so my advice would be that the suppliers should be made aware, like what benefits they can drive from AI and digitization. Normally, people have in mind, the AI, the people will not have the place to, like job related risk are there, but it is not that way. I think it is more about making them aware what kind of gains they can get in the business, and business can be smoother if you are capturing the things which are critical for your business. So I think awareness is one thing, and they should embrace, because this is a change word over. So I think digitization and AI is not an option, and they have to connect, because OEMs will need it because of their requirement, and you have to comply with them. So this is my one suggestion, which people should focus on tier 2, tier 3 especially. Yeah.
Great. Jolyn, one piece of kind of
different, difficult to say one good sentence, but it will be reflected to this very good idea related data analytics. We don't make data analytics. Okay, maybe some of our are doing, but not too much. So my advice would be to teach the guys how to use the data for analytics using AI, and don't be afraid of that, and be much more proactive instead of this troubleshooting what they are always doing in supply chain. It would be my advice. Thank you.
Great. Mukul, I would come to you, but I've just quickly also seen, I think Mr. Neeraj has also joined. I'll just do a quick introduction. For everybody who doesn't know, Mr. Neeraj Sachdev is the President and Chief Procurement Officer at Uno Minda Group. Lovely to have you join. Maybe as a last piece for you and Mukul to maybe give a joint piece of advice to everybody listening from that perspective.
Yeah. So thank you for the introduction, Tushar. And
Yeah.
I was hearing the inputs coming from Johan, Jitendra, and Mukul. I think they have covered a large part of the discussion. Now, important here is only for our supplier partners. That is what we call our suppliers in Uno Minda. We call them supplier partners. So it's important because it's a part of the supply chain that we have suppliers on one side and customers on another side. And it is very important to have this interlinking of the supply chain. Some of the parts have been covered by Jitendra also. But for example, we are using now AI in our company for not only stratification of the data, but also analysis of the data and sometimes prediction of the predictive analytics also. So what we are trying to do, for example, Johan touched upon it. It was basically, for example, when I had to do my de-risking of the supplier base, whether on the financial or the legal compliance part. So then we were trying to understand whether to make check sheets and so on, but we were able to get it easily on AI, and the data was retrieved from the government sites and what was illegally in the public domain. And we were able to get the data very easily, and within maybe few hours, we are able to analyze now more than 500 suppliers. So this is one part of it. Similarly, when we do about, somebody touched about electronics, semiconductors. So for electronics, we know when the the shortage goes up, the pricing also shoots up, the premium buying and so on. So for that, what should be the ideal price? Because it's not a standard way of pricing like we are doing for sheet metal or plastics. So that is why we are now using AI and data interpretation and giving us insights into what should be the pricing, let me say that way. So that way we are able to target the gap. We have limited bandwidth. I have more than 2,000 suppliers, more than 25 plants are handled by me and my team. So if we talk about that, the scope is big, and then we cannot have unlimited supply of manpower.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is to use AI to at least predict where we should point out our energy so that the bandwidth is utilized properly. I think these are the few things I would like to point out. But it was a nice discussion. What I thought Mukul has done it much better. I could have done it. So thank you, Mukul.
Guys, keeping a track on time, we've overrun by 4 minutes. So I just want to say on behalf of ACMA and Powerweave, thank you once again for joining the Auto Procurement Leaders Forum, and especially thank you for our panelists. I think you guys gave some really, really insightful information for everybody who's joined. So yeah, let's continue the dialogue, I think, online and clusters and practice. We look forward to working with you on building the next chapter, I guess, of procurement excellence in the auto industry. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Also, just a quick one, as next steps, you'll also be receiving the AI in procurement guide and the poll insights. We've also seen a lot of questions come through on chat, so we'll try and kind of get some responses and send that out to everybody as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.